You're listening to Funny Peculiar with Jeff Downs.
Well, we've made it to the 30th episode of Funny Peculiar Podcast. Thanks for listening, thanks for downloading, and let's go over now to my very special guest, which I'm about to introduce. So, welcome to another episode of Funny Peculiar Podcast. And this week I have one of the most recommended guests since I've been speaking to people and since I've been doing the podcast. And it's from the drag world. And I met this wonderful lady at the semi-final of Drag Idol UK. It is the wonderful, the gorgeous, the fantastic Eileen Bothways.
Hi Jeff, it's great to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
You're very welcome. And we did, we got through to the semi-final of, now for people not listening, Drag Idol is a sort of competition that's set up every year, and now we're finding that anybody can sort of take part. It's not exclusively for drag queens. So how long have you been sort of getting into the drag competitions? Was this the first time you'd entered the competition?
So it was the first time I'd actually entered Drag Idol, because I was going to do it the year before, but I was recovering from a broken back, so it wasn't really possible.
You trooper, crumbs! That's so. How long were you out with a broken back?
I was out for 4 months, which is actually quite good because they weren't sure if I was going to be able to walk again. So I said to them, no, I'm getting back on that stage, and I did. Wow,
what unbelievable. So, and you, how did you, sorry, I'm going into it now, but I've never spoken to anybody who's broken their back before. Whereabouts was it a particular vertebrae? Is that you just fractured it?
It was my sacrum, which holds the pelvis to the spine.
Really?
So, quite an unusual break, apparently. They weren't entirely sure how I did it, but I actually did it through drag.
Hey, well, that's working for your pain, isn't it? So
it certainly is.
So, and I've seen you, and for people, and again, let's just quickly, you're a very energetic performer, and
Thank you.
Just as this riot of amazing sort of moves and music, and it's just this sensory overload. I loved it. Just before let's get the social media out of the way, because you're on Instagram, aren't you?
I am.
So
yes,
what
indeed.
are you on? So on Instagram, you're Eileen Bothways, is that right?
I am. Yes, that's it.
And Facebook as well. How can people find?
Facebook I don't really use. I have a page, but to be honest, I never check it. I'm primarily on Instagram.
Let's go for Instagram. That's fine. Check out Eileen's Instagram site account. It's wonderful. And the makeup, the outfits, the beards. We're going to get into all of that because I'm fascinated. This was, you were doing a drag performance and you slipped or whatever, and this kind of, you injured your back. You went to the hospital.
I fell down a staircase. I was carrying a costume that I couldn't see over, and I fell, and I tried to save the costume because I'd made it out of plaster of Paris and I didn't want it to break, so I broke instead.
Wow, and so the costume is, and that was quite heavy, I take it? It was something made out of plaster of Paris?
It wasn't that heavy, because it was quite thin and fragile, which is why I was worried it would break. It actually did crack on me when I fell and broke its fall, but...
and did you do the performance and then later go, I'll get my back checked out?
No, I actually couldn't move. I realised something was wrong when I'd been at the bottom of the staircase for almost an hour and still couldn't move.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Dear. So, well, very wise that you did then get yourself. So, and so that was 4 months recovering from that. But is it when they say you break something, it re-strengthens? Did you find it stronger now, and you're not too sort of delicate, and you think, oh, I'm okay here?
I think it's stronger, but I'm also slightly less flexible for it. But I'm working on that.
You're working out.
Working on that.
Well, great. Well, that's real for your performance and to get through that. And yeah, as I said, when I saw you at the semi-final, just this massive movement and energy going on, and this is Eileen Bothways. This is your character, your drag character. Let's go back before. How did Eileen evolve, and what were you doing before Eileen came about?
Before Eileen came about, I'd actually been working for a number of years in events and in West End Theatre as a producer and production coordinator. Okay. And I was a little bit sick, actually, of putting on everyone else's shows, and I thought, I know I don't have theatrical training, but, you know, I'd love to get on stage and do a bit of performance and get some ideas of my own across, rather than acting and still doing someone else's script. I thought I just want to create my own sort of short expressions of things I believe in and my personality. So I became a burlesque dancer, and after a few months of doing that, I thought, you know, I'd actually really rather be doing drag. And then I discovered that I was able to do drag as someone who was assigned female at birth, and was absolutely delighted to hear that. So started my drag career, and I will be 2 years old in October.
Wow, congratulations. It's again, marvellous sort of performance. But let's go back. So when you were doing the producing, and you were doing, so what sort of shows were you putting on? What was it like to do that?
I was putting on shows in the West End like Women in Black and Inspector Calls, and doing sort of production coordination, assistant general management. I was developing new shows to go into the West End as well, and doing some in-house casting. And it was, you know, it was really enjoyable being able to make those ideas all come to life and sort of be a part of that whole creative process. But there was something always in me that just wanted to bring a lot of my own ideas to life. And I don't know how much doing those things has helped me be able to put things forwards, because I don't produce drag shows. I might at some stage, but it's nice to have that transition, I think, going from one side of it to another side, the behind the scenes to on stage.
And how did you know that it was time, that I was like, I've had enough of this and I want something different?
I think it's just, you know, when you know, there's something, you'll feel something sort of brewing within yourself. And I think there was just something in me that just went, right, now's the time. And I don't really know what it was. Maybe it was just whatever was happening in my life at the time, but I just knew it was my time. And apparently my time was 30 to start, so it's never too late.
It's never too late. And so you then moved into burlesque, which a lot of people I'm interviewing again. How did you get into the burlesque? And I'm finding I'm chatting to people going, well, I just saw an advert in the paper, I just saw an advert here. Was it something you stumbled across, or you knew of someone that was doing the courses?
I saw a lot of burlesque performers. My friend used to own a pop-up that lasted for about 3-4 months called Salon d'Essai, which was in central London back in 2010. It was Time Out's number one pop-up of the summer, and he was running this speakeasy-esque night with a lot of burlesque performers. And so I met a number of them, and I thought, what a beautiful art form. But in 2015, I think it was, a friend of mine said, oh, there's a course that's come up with Burlesque Baby, and they're running discounts at the moment. Do you want to do it with me? And I said, yeah, you know, why not? Let's do this together. It'll be a bit of fun.
Of course.
Not for one moment thinking that it could actually change my whole life. And we went and did the course, and I graduated under a different name to Eileen. Actually, I was called Dahlia Della Lune, which still has an Instagram page, but is actually a kind of dead character now.
Just say that name again. Dahlia
Della Lune.
Dahlia Della Lune. Now, where did that come? What a wonderful name.
Well, the character in itself was quite witchy, and of course Eileen has ended up quite witchy as well, because the person behind both those characters is a witch. So Dahlia I just enjoy because of, you know, the Black Dahlia murders, etc.
Right, okay.
And something very gothic. And De La Lune, of the moon. And I work a lot with moon phases in my witchcraft, so Dahlia De La Lune seemed quite appropriate.
Okay. And so you say witchcraft there. Is that part of the act, or something you actually... That's part of the act, the particular burlesque character you were doing at the time? Yeah, she was a witch,
just as Eileen's over the last few months come out as being a witchy character.
Right.
And I think it's just because I am a witch in real life. It takes up a large part of my life as well, and I just enjoy doing that.
Did you practice being a witch through sort of stones or cards, tarot cards, that sort of thing? Is that
through divination tools as well, like tarot, runes, tea leaf readings. But I'm actually part of a coven with 3 other performers. So it's quite an interestingly theatrical coven.
Well, it is, and would you describe yourself as a white witch because these are sort of the good witches, or is that just a Hollywood spun sort of style, or you're a witch, like someone would be a druid or someone to be a faith healer? It's just that's the name that the stuff you do?
Yeah, I think because the term white witch, some witches take that into their practice, but magic is generally just shades of grey. It's not inherently good or inherently bad. It's like a person isn't, good or evil necessarily. They are who they are. There are different shades of grey.
Okay, and do you formulate spells and healing that way? Is that how it works? Do people come to you? Yeah,
absolutely. Sometimes people say, "Oh, can you do a spell for me?" And I say, "Yeah, sure, babe, why not?" It's good for meditation as well, for positive thinking, sort of dispelling negativity. It's generally quite a positive practice.
Yeah, because again, it will be with a lot of this sort of practice. It's you'll get one stereotypical image that everybody will be thinking of is the witch from films, the Wicked Witch of the Wicked and all the musicals and all that sort of stuff. So, but it's no different from if someone turned around and said, "Well, I'm a hippie, I'm a druid. This is an alternative lifestyle, really, isn't it?"
Yeah, it's just your own religious practice.
Do you see it as a religious thing for you?
I see it as a spiritual practice.
Yeah.
So, it's semi-religious practice. I always wear my pentagram necklace, much like Christians might wear a cross around their neck.
Right, sure. And in what way would you say it's similar or different from religion? What's the difference, do you think?
I'm not sure I can comment on that. It's such a difficult topic to comment on.
It's
don't
fine.
really.
No, that's fine. We don't have to. No. I just meant as in obviously you do it under your own time and steam. Whenever I take it, you want to practice, you'll just do it there and then. Is it sort of as the mood takes you?
Sometimes it involves a lot of pre-planning, and that you need a particular moon cycle, and you might be in a waning moon phase, and you need to wait till the next full moon. So you think, okay, in a couple of weeks or so, I'm going to need to do this. So
yeah, and is it rooted in pagan sort of traditions then? Is that
very much. You sort of go with the natural cycles of the year, and sort of draw upon the energy, and it's quite natural and quite lovely, and also a quite nice escape from the modern world, whilst also being able to incorporate sort of the modern world into it as well. It's you can adapt your practices.
Well, it is. They say, especially with the pagan religion, it's because it is about the earth and the sun. It's returning to our 4 elements, isn't it? It's a very sort of before we were. Then the Romans invaded, and that's another podcast.
Oh yeah.
So, but we won't go down there. Anyway, no, that's just really, really interesting. I didn't know that side to you, so it's fascinating. So anyway, we'll move. So we got the burlesque was going on, and then so you started to do burlesque, and so you were finding your way. So you were finding your way with performance in a way with burlesque. This let you start to express yourself.
Very much so, and actually I was terrified to get on a stage, so I found
really?
that
and how did you get over that? How did you conquer that?
Just absorbing myself into the character, and just telling myself, if I want certain ideas of mine to be seen in this particular way, I have to do it. I have to get on that stage, and I have to tell myself I'm not me. I'm Dahlia, and then I'm not
Yeah.
me, I'm Eileen. But actually, I'm not really the kind of person who likes a lot of attention, and I'm not really the kind of person who likes a stage or crowded spaces. I'm actually more sort of one-on-one or small groups and quiet evenings, and I'm
Right,
not really even
okay.
a clubbing person. So for
You
me, it's
just
very much something that has to be done in order for me to express what I do
yes.
creatively.
And do you remember that very first show you did as a burlesque
I
performer?
do. I was terrified. I almost threw up backstage.
Oh, where was it? Whereabouts was it? What was the venue?
Um, it was it was I think it was at the Empire Casino in the Shadow Lounge that they had there, and it was for a burlesque competition. So I honestly don't know what's wrong with me. My first ever burlesque performance was at a burlesque competition. My first ever drag performance was at a drag competition.
Right,
So I
okay.
really am a glutton for punishment. I
You
just jump
are.
in feet
You,
first into the
you
deep
are.
end.
You throw yourself in. I remember my first stand up was a competition. Oh, I was getting tried out or whatever. I drank 4 pints of Guinness. I was
Oh
so nervous.
wow.
And I was off. I couldn't remember anything. So it's like,
Oh
but
no.
but that's what you do to try and get. So you somehow here you are. You're standing just by the side of the stage. Your music has started, and you're stepping onto the stage. And what's pushing you through? You just gotta. I've got to do this.
I just completely blanked out on stage. Like, I apparently people said that the performance was really good. I came in third place,
Ah, right.
and
Well, you
yeah, no,
don't remember my.
I don't remember it. I just had a complete mental blank. My brain shut down. Autopilot took over. My body did the act for me. I came off the stage, thought, bloody hell, what's happened?
And what was the track? Because a lot of burlesque dancers, and I've spoken, the music's quite a major part because that sort of dictates the feel, the look. What was your track? Can you remember which track you danced
Yeah,
to?
the track was "Oh Death" by Jen Titus.
I've
So
never heard of that. I'm ignorant. Whereabouts? Where's that from? Is that from a musical? From what piece of music is that?
it featured in the scene in Supernatural, the TV show, where the character of Death came on screen for the first time ever.
Okay,
So
so
it's very dark. It's very eerie and atmospheric. And I did an Isis wing dance with some really beautiful sheer gold wings, and it was
wow.
an ode to death. It was this witch dancing under the moonlight, um, worshipping death so that it wouldn't take her for another year.
Wow, that's and well, you came third, so it's like
Yeah.
you should. But I think you should have won by the sound of. There's a lot of layers there. There's a lot of stuff going on. So, but you got through it. That was the main thing. And how did you feel at the end of it when the music finally stopped and you was like, I've done it?
Um, I can't really remember. I think I assume I was pleased that I'd managed to do it. And I always felt when I was first starting, I always felt much more relaxed after I performed, and always thought to myself, oh, I wish I could go on and do it now because then I'd be much more relaxed during the performance.
Yeah,
But it took a couple of years to get to that point where I just go on stage now and I just enjoy it from the offset.
yeah.
But at the time, it was I think nerves held me back quite a lot when I started.
But obviously with the gigging process, the more you do it, the more you get comfortable with what you're doing.
Exactly, yeah.
And so, and how long do you do burlesque for?
So I did burlesque for um, a year before I fully transitioned into drag, and then
Yeah.
started to incorporate burlesque back into drag a few months after that. So I now do a lot of draglesque as well.
Oh, right,
Um,
okay. I've not heard
and
of that. So that's a bit of a subgenre of dragless, which is that
yeah,
something that are there more performers doing that now, or you're just kind of leading the way on that?
yeah, there are a lot of performers
Yeah.
doing draglesque. In fact, there's another drag performer. I'm actually in the World Burlesque Games this year,
Oh,
competing for the International Alternative Crown.
brilliant. And
And so
where's
I'll be
where's that on? Anybody wants to come and see you? Whereabouts is that?
That will be on the 10th of November at the Shaw Theatre in King's Cross. I think it's about a 500 capacity theatre.
Brilliant.
So, grab your tickets, worldburlesquegames.com. And there's another drag queen in my category who's coming over from, I think that she is from Finland, and she's coming over and competing in the same category as me. So right. she's a wonderful queen. People should check her out as well. She's called Betty Fuck.
Yes, I think I've seen her on Instagram because she's like she sort of touts herself as not the only drag queen in Finland, but along the lines of the biggest drag queen in Finland at the moment, or something like that.
Yeah, she's an incredible performer, and she's absolutely stunning. She's performing at Bushwig she was performing at Bushwig in Germany over the weekend. So yeah, she looks fabulous. I'm not sure if she's going to Bushwig in New York in September. I'm performing at Bushwig in September. I'm not sure if she's able to come as well.
Okay, what's Bushwig for people that don't know?
Bushwig is a massive drag festival hosted in New York with, I think, a few thousand people go and watch drag queens over an entire weekend, just perform and drag kings as well, I think. So it's really exciting.
And
it's a really exciting festival. I am. A few of us London queens are headed to Bushwig to perform. It's really excited. A huge honour to be going. And I'm really looking forward to it.
And have you got your outfit ready, sorted? Know what you're going to wear?
I have. I'm doing my gender spectrum act that I did at Drag Idol this year. So it's an exciting piece where I transform from queen to king via sideshow and some elements of burlesque, and do a commentary on gender being a spectrum.
Yeah, so and we were, because as I said, the performance today is very lots of movement, everything's going on. Let's just quickly go back to the start of Eileen, because the one thing I have to talk about is your makeup, and it's incredible. Out of everyone I've seen, it is the most just imaginative. But the styles you use, but the boldness of it.
Oh,
so
thank you.
For the people, so do go onto Eileen's Instagram account and you'll just see the variety. I mean, the one thing that strikes me, it's the heavy eye makeup, which I adore, and the lashes. So how did you develop Eileen's look? Because are you makeup trained, or is this all just you make it up yourself? You just learn?
I wasn't makeup trained. I did just learn myself. I didn't actually used to wear that much makeup before I started doing drag. I was an artist for many years. I actually had an art exhibition a year and a half ago, but not one since. So I've been an artist for a number of years, and I just transferred my paint to a different canvas, which happened to be my face. And as soon as I stopped thinking about my face as a face and started thinking about it as a bit of a lumpy canvas, then it all kind of clicked. It all kind of clicked into place, how to create illusions. And I actually started practicing makeup by copying other queens' paint. So I had a YouTube series where I would review episodes of Drag Race whilst cosplaying as queens from seasons past.
Right, and is that still on YouTube at the moment? Let's have a shout out for that.
I actually took it down, believe it or not, because I wanted to make the channel more about makeup transformations and drag ASMR. And so I actually took down.
So you said drag SMAR.
ASMR.
What does that stand for? Just for people that won't know.
Right. Yeah. So ASMR is autonomous sensory meridian response. So it's where you get static-like or tingling sensation on your skin that will often sort of start on your scalp and move down your back, the back of your neck / upper spine, and it's triggered by whispering or tapping sensations, or sort of scratching of things, personal attention. And there are a lot of really cool ASMR artists out there, and I started doing ASMR to help people sleep. So I get into full drag and I do a whispered video, a little sort of role play session where I paint people's faces into drag, or I sort of discuss my witchcraft and tap some items from my altar, or make someone a cocktail, and just sort of get people relaxed and settled and ready for bed.
This is on a video, is it?
This is on YouTube on my channel, Painted Both Ways.
I think okay. So let's just get that plug in. So it's Painted Both Ways, and I'm going to go there immediately because, as I said, I'm a massive fan of your makeup and your style. So it's Painted Both Ways is yours. So let's have a look at that. And because I think I've heard of this. I think I've heard of this style of audio. Because I think they use whether you use like a 360 degree microphone, it's such a sensitive microphone, it picks up all sorts of noises. That's roughly how it works?
Yeah, but there are some ASMR artists who don't use that. I can't actually afford the 360 one because they're very expensive pieces of equipment. So at some stage I'd like to...
Sorry, that was me. Just I'm looking at your site now, so it's like right, okay. So just for people, so yeah, if you put in Painted Both Ways, and it's ASMR, and it's doing your drag makeup role play, and there's a video on there of you in this wonderful blue wig. So sorry, carry on, Eileen.
I can't remember what I was saying now.
So I was describing. You can get these really expensive microphones. So normally a microphone will just pick up in one direction, but these 360 ones, it's amazing technology. I've actually seen a mate at a university up here who's actually a radio lecturer brought one over, and I'd never seen it before, and it sort of records in this soundscape of 360. So I've heard of these videos that you can watch, and you get this amazing sort of soundscape which is all over. Is that roughly what you
yeah exactly. So what I'm hoping for is that I've monetized my videos. One of the videos has had 52,000 views already. I'm hoping that with them monetized, I can make some money off YouTube and then use it to buy the equipment so I can make even better quality videos. So if you're listening to this and are interested in ASMR, go and subscribe, and that will help boost what I can do.
And there's a real movement for this now that I was speaking to. A lot of people are getting into this particular performance with this mic technology. So the makeup. Just tell us how it sort of evolved in this particular look. As you said, you're an artist, so you just started to get more and more dramatic with the look, and I'm looking at your picture now on the ASMR, and it's the eyeliner. It's just this huge amount of eyeliner and massive eyebrows. Just talk us through that, how you sort of came up with that look.
It was just experimentation, because I spent so long copying other queens' looks that I just thought, I like a bit of this and I like a bit of that, and I just kind of developed it. And a lot of the time I actually paint on mood. I think Eileen's eyes, or rather Eileen's eyeliner, is the only thing that's really stuck through the entire process, and has actually become quite an iconic feature. But depending on the look, the eyebrows can change, the lips can change, but the eyes, they're always the same. They're definitely Eileen's eyes. And I think as drag performers, we always change up our makeup from time to time just to sort of go with the trends and keep things fresh. And it's really exciting to be able to develop it and experiment and find ways to improve. But the eyes are always the same. The eyes are Eileen's now. She has her own eyes.
She does, and they are wonderful. And do you use a combination of stage makeup and regular makeup that you can buy in Boots or wherever?
I do actually. I use a lot of Kryolan products. And then, so predominantly I use Kryolan, MAC and Jeffree Star, but then I also use Maybelline's nude eyeshadow palette, which is I think only about £9 or £10 from Boots, and I use that for the sort of more natural looks, and just sort of more simple femme looks. And
Sure.
I always use my crease in the darkest brown in the palette, so I always start with that dark brown before I add other colours onto it. So
You put that,
that's
and
my staple.
I have a couple of Jeffree Star lipsticks, and they're very nice. They're matte, aren't they? And they go on. I use matte
Yeah.
ones anyway. And you've built this look up, so do you start with do you start with the eyes and then you work out, or is it the brows? And
I,
I've started.
s- I
Go on, where
start
do
with
you
the
start?
contour. I start with
Oh right.
the contour. Actually, I do the full foundation on my face, ears, and neck, and then I do the white over the top and
Yeah.
the darker brown for the contour over that, and then I just sort of blend it all together, powder set it with Kryolan T2
Okay.
setting powder, and then I go in for the winged eyeliner, eyeshadow, powder contour, blusher, eyebrows, lips, dots on my face, eyelashes, done.
And yeah, you have like little sort of bits of jewelry, or yeah, the dots and the sort of stick on the bits of jewelry, which look wonderful. How long does that take you if you do a full face look? How long will that take?
It can take anywhere from an hour and a half to 4 hours, depending on the look I'm
Whoa!
pulling. An hour
Wow!
and a half is my really very, very speedy, quick look I do for acts that I've done a lot and have a set look for them.
Yeah.
And then if I'm sort of branching out and experimenting more, it can take up to 4 hours. There's a there's a look I did in, I think it was in February, where I did a missing eye that was bleeding and
Right.
my hair whited out and sort of a chain link effect on my face and buttons glued to myself, and that took a full 4 hours. And I actually thought I was going to go a bit mad around the 3 hour mark, and I started to regret all my life choices. At that point I thought, what am I doing with my life that I'm sat here at hour 3 and I'm still not done?
But that shows you care, and it just I think I don't know if I'm looking at it now, but it's just I'm on Instagram. It's you've got, and on your chin there's also glued some more jewels. Your eyebrows
Yeah.
above has more jewels, and you've got it's just stunning. Now what I love about you as well is that and we'll talk about gender sort of diversity, or gender fluid and all these terms that we hear in the press. Now come in. So where do you align yourself? So you're a real girl, you're dressing up as a drag queen, but there's more there.
Yeah, I don't actually identify as a girl at all. I was assigned female at birth, but I actually identify as trans male,
Okay.
but non-binary. So I do actually prefer the pronoun they or he. I'm fine with Eileen being referred to as she because it's such a femme character that I've created, and that's how I like to express my femininity through Eileen. But in my everyday life, I have actually started going by what would be deemed a male name, and
Okay.
at some stage I may be getting surgery to transition to more of a male body, but still be non-binary because I do like to more explore my gender, and I prefer it to be a bit more fluid. And I don't feel completely male, but I don't feel female.
So you like being in the middle. So it's that androgyny would be one word, but that sort of for people that have never heard about non-binary or gender fluid, it's kind of, just to help people listening, just to sort of anchor it a bit. This is so. I mean, for example, I'm a guy. I'm genetically or biologically a man, but I really empathise with being female and dressing and looking like a girl, and for me that's a really big buzz. So is that for you? It's like yes, you were born a girl, but you really like the male look, or a macho look, or somewhere in
Uh,
between.
no, it's more that I feel I was born into the wrong body. I didn't actually realise I was what other people would call a girl until I was about maybe 4 years old. I thought I was maybe a boy, but
Okay.
I think gender is. I think a lot of people assume that it's binary of just male and female, but gender, like sexuality, is more on a spectrum. So
Sure.
there aren't just gay and straight people. There are people who are bisexual, pansexual, but maybe veer a bit more towards one end of that spectrum, or they might be completely
Okay.
in the middle. And because gender identity is obviously quite different from the sex you're born with, but even the sex you're born with, you can have, intersex people.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and with
So
gender identity,
just to pause you there, that's really interesting. That's helped me understand a lot. So for people that are listening and myself, so the term non-binary, and I was slightly confused by that. So basically what you're saying is you're not binding yourself to either a male or a female gender. It's that spectrum in between. It's you
yeah.
can be anything you want. And that really helps me understand it a lot more now, and I get it.
Mm.
And I can see how, and just some of your looks as well, and I just adore and you do like this bearded lady look, which is, again, I love the way you're playing with gender again. It's a drag look, but you're right, you're liking this Edwardian dress,
Mm.
and then you have the beard on. So what are you playing with there, do you think? How would you describe that?
Um, the act that's used for it is about molly houses of the 1700s,
Okay.
and molly houses were places in the UK in the 1700s where men would often dress up in female clothing, and other men would go and either socialize with men who were cross-dressing or have sex with them. So it was a little bit, almost, one could say, kind of like a drag bar back in the day. But if the
Wow, I
police found,
didn't.
sorry,
Sorry, I didn't know it went back that far. I didn't know that. That's really interesting. And
yeah,
really, again, they could be found out.
yeah, if they were found out, they'd be arrested. They could be sentenced to death. And I read so many tragic stories about men who were arrested for it. Molly houses appear in the TV show Taboo in City of Vice,
Right.
and I really wanted to create a more triumphant ending for a cross-dressing male. So I played a drag king in
Yes.
order to be that male character dressing up as a woman. So I uh,
And
I can
sorry, just to pause you there for people. So kings, that's traditionally a girl, a genetic girl that will dress, but in male clothing normally, isn't it, for drag
mm,
kings? Which and paint a beard on and look macho. But you go on, carry on. You've done slightly
and
something different.
yeah, and there are actually a lot of incredible assigned male at birth drag kings as well. So what's great about drag is, really anyone of any gender identity can just sort of play around with the different genders that
Sure.
society have constructed for us. So it's
Yeah.
really fun to explore sort of something that's super masculine as well as something that's super feminine and all the spectrum of in-betweens. But back to the Molly House Act, I
Sure.
really wanted to give a triumphant ending for a man that was arrested and persecuted for cross-dressing. So it starts off in the Molly House before the character is arrested and thrown in jail, where I peel down out of the dress into sort of frilly 1700 style prison uniform,
Right.
and then I break free from the jail to reclaim my life by rubbing myself in some butter in order to squeeze through the bars and escape. So
Okay.
it's a
Wow.
triumphant end for the character, but in order to do that, they have to strip down again. So by the time they strip down, they're just, this guy in a beard and a jock strap
Right.
and
Okay.
the flat chest. But, in reality, it's someone who's assigned female at birth, being a man, being a woman. So
Yes.
there's a lot of layers of gender there, and I performed it
Absolutely.
at London Burlesque Festival back in May, and I'm performing it in Edinburgh at the Fringe Festival for Best of Burlesque in August as
Brilliant.
well. I was invited to perform at that, so
Oh,
that's going to be a lot of fun.
and when are you going up to Edinburgh?
I'm going up to Edinburgh next week. Best of Burlesque is on at the in the Spiegel tent in Assembly Square Gardens. So
Okay.
it's a really beautiful venue. The tickets are on sale for £16 on the Edinburgh Fringe website. There are some days which are discount days. I'm performing there from the 8th till the 14th, but the show runs from the 2nd till I think the 28th.
Wonderful. Well, and for anybody listening, you can see it all online. Have you got? Is this online at all? This particular performance?
It is. It's on my Vimeo. If you type into Google Molly House London Burlesque Festival, it should just come up as me.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, no one else has done an act about the Molly Houses. So that's quite good. I always try and do acts that are really out the box and that no one's done before. So
I think it's brilliant. I think it's a real tribute to, and I think that's what you're doing and expressing on behalf of the cross-dressing community, which I'm a part of. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
And I'm going up to Edinburgh, but I think I'm going to miss you. But I will definitely watch it online because I'm really fascinated by what you're talking about there. So I'll have to look at that. And again, all your different looks, and how do you keep that? Where are you getting your ideas from? How do you just keep watching different drag shows?
Most of my ideas just come from anxiety, to be honest. I feel like my anxiety is a huge thing behind my creativity. I actually channel a lot of the overwhelming thoughts and feelings I have into just artistic ideas. It's the way that I just process things and deal with them. And because what's interesting is I've been on antidepressants before, and it actually completely cut out any creativity I had, which was utterly bizarre, and made me really realize that everything in me that's creative is a direct result of quite extreme social anxiety. So, which is interesting. So yeah, the medication kind of dulled your senses in a way, and it completely cut them out. I mean, I was very relaxed. I felt quite happy and quite just relaxed and good, but I lost what I had always considered to be my identity. So I came off them, and I've been trying to find other ways in order to deal with anxiety and depression, but I'd always want to be a creative person. So for me, there was no choice in the matter. But I understand medication is very important for a lot of people, and I'd always advise other people to, if they need medication, to take it, because their mental well-being is more important than their art. But I apparently don't do that for myself.
Well, that's interesting, because an episode just gone out now. Episode 16 is Jay Coates, who runs events and burlesque nights up here. His partner B, and I was chatting to him, and he had a tattoo on his arm, and I said, "Oh, what's that?" And I think it was the sign for serotonin, which he lacks, and so he said this is part of his depression. Now he was really positive about it, just like you're positive, and he was saying, well, we where he works in his workshop with all the others, because they make sort of Dungeons and Dragon gear and all that, they put on positive music, they put on comedy shows, so he controls it just by how he surrounds his life and music, and in a way art that surrounds him makes him feel. So do you find that just sitting there, and I totally get sitting there for 3 hours, I've been 2 hours deep into playing with makeup, I get it, because it is like, but do you find that relaxes you, that will just let your mind drift and let yourself concentrate on something else?
I find painting whether it's on my face or on a actual canvas, I find it very therapeutic to just be sat there and focusing intently on one thing, and being able to just express what I'm feeling through colours, through embellishments, through freckles, through dots, through sticking rhinestones to my face. Everything has a meaning behind it, even if it's a subtle meaning that a lot of people won't necessarily get. But everything for me is an expression of what I'm feeling. So a lot of my drag sisters have started to learn it, and they might see me with more dots on my face, and they go, "Oh God, what's wrong?" And I go, "Oh, I've had a bad day," and they go, "It looks like it." And I'm like, "Okay."
But that's fine, because then this is me expressing myself. So
yeah, exactly.
And where do we find, and this is 2 years you've been doing Eileen for now, is that right?
Yeah, 2 years in October.
So, and what's the best gig you've ever done of Eileen? The one where you've gone, yeah, I got it there. I made it. That felt good.
Oh, it probably was London Burlesque Festival, because it was in front of maybe 450, 500 people, and the audience just went wild, and they were singing along as I was lip syncing, and they were standing up, they were cheering. It was an overwhelmingly wonderful feeling to have so many people enjoy what I was doing. And yeah, I just felt, I came off stage and I felt really good about myself, and I went and saw some friends and a couple of family members as well in the interval, and everyone was so lovely, and people I didn't even know were coming up to me at the end of the show and getting photos with me and thanking me and saying how great it was. And it was a really rewarding experience, and just made me feel I'm not generally very good at taking compliments, but when I'm in drag I'm much better, because it's not me receiving the compliments, it's Eileen, which makes it a bit more digestible. But it was a really good feeling.
And that's interesting. So what happens when you're out of drag and someone compliments you as your they self, if I'm getting the pronoun bit right? So I'm still learning how to do this and say.
Thank you. I generally just tend to blush, get a bit flustered, get a bit awkward, sometimes just walk away. There was someone once who tried to compliment me, and I just walked out the room.
But I know that I'm a very awkward guy. I'm 6'4". And I don't. If anybody dare compliment me, I can't say. But when I'm dressed as Steph, it's a different thing. You'll suck it in. It's like, give me more.
Yeah, so exactly.
It's a strange. I empathise with you on that. I know this because it's almost like you've switched off from Eileen, and I'm just this other person now. And please leave me alone. I'm getting on with my life. But you can't stop someone giving you a compliment, and that's a nice thing. That's a loving thing, isn't it?
I know. I do just want to say, oh God, please just save it for when I'm in costume. We'll go through. And we've not really talked about your performance, so as I said, it's very energetic, and you do sort of like with the Molly House sort of performance, and the one I saw you in Birmingham earlier this year in May, and you use kind of pumping sort of house music or different types of music going on, and there was a chair on stage, and you were kind of just talk us through the sort of block by block sort of how your performance looks. It's very difficult for, obviously. Again, go to Eileen's Instagram account and there's clips of you performing on there and on YouTube as well. But just describe your performance. How would you describe it? The Gender Spectrum Act, I come on stage, latex mini dress, big blue wig. I do a lip sync to some spoken word about the feeling of not belonging and not fitting in. And then it goes into a really rebellious track, which is Kill versus Maim by Grimes, where it's sort of being like, I don't behave and not wanting to conform and really sort of rebelling and breaking out. And then I peel the dress from myself and the wig and reveal that my chest is taped back. So I'm sort of genderless up top. And I've actually put tape over my my crotch, over my whole vaginal area. So I'm completely doll-like. I don't have a gender anymore. So I'm just this blank canvas. At which point I move over to the chair and I put on a pair of trousers, an open shirt, contour on a beard very quickly in the space of 6 seconds.
It was quick. You're good. It was very quick. It looked great though.
Thank you. And then I start to go into spoken word in a male voice, because now I'm in what's typically by society seen as male attire. I go into a male voice and just start discussing the gender spectrum, gender identity, gender expression, and how gender is non-binary. At which point, clips by Piers Morgan and other quite sort of anti-gender spectrum people start making nasty comments about gender being binary and how anything in between makes you a millennial snowflake. At which point I break out and another thumping track comes on that basically the track says, you're not alone. And it's a reminder to people that are non-binary that they're not alone, and they don't need to listen to those negative voices that don't have time to understand or learn. And then I start stapling snowflakes to myself as a real fuck you to people who say that millennial snowflakes are, these weak, pathetic creatures. Well, watch me do something really hardcore like stapling my body.
Yeah,
tell me I'm a snowflake now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really, really powerful piece, and it was a pleasure to see you perform it.
Thank you.
And it's great to, again, there's all types of different performance, and it's just great to see something new, and that's what original, and that's what I liked about it. So, listen, Eileen, we've been talking so long, and it's been one. And I feel there's another 3 episodes just on you, because and I'm sure this will be popular. I'm sure we'll catch up with you soon, and we'll have to chat to you when you get back from New York. That sounds fascinating. But for the moment, and I've got one final quick question. Excuse me, I'm suffering here from a cold, but I'm strong. I'm going to fight it through from the last question. Who do you think I should have? And bearing in mind, you've been requested. So many people have said to me, you've got to get Eileen on, and but who do you think I should interview next, or for a future episode of Funny Peculiar?
I think you should interview the drag king Chio. He's absolutely incredible, a phenomenal performer, a really big voice in the community at the moment, a really powerful voice of change. And what he's doing and the very political and gender-based acts that he's bringing to the stage are just, they really open your mind. They really challenge what there is in the community, and I feel like here's the future of drag, and he's a really exciting performer to watch, and I'd love to hear an interview with him.
Okay, and it's Tio, is it T-I-O? Am I spelling that right?
Chio, Chio, and you can find him even through my Instagram, because I basically slightly stalk him. I like everything he does. I love everything he does, and I always comment. And
well, lovely. I love everything you do.
And thank you so much.
I'm sorry, I'm getting really. But I do absolutely adore your makeup, and I just find it's fresh and it's out there.
Thank
you have so many wonderful looks. Listen, thank you again. This has been an absolutely special episode of Funny Peculiar, because I think we're hitting about the 50 minutes mark, so if not a bit more. So everybody, you're getting an exceptional episode this week. Thank you very much, and I'm sure we will catch up with you very soon. Thanks again to Eileen Bothways.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
So a big thank you to Eileen for coming on the show. Just a great episode. If you want to follow Eileen, you can. She's on Facebook. Quite simply, just type in Eileen Bothways. You'll find her on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, all under the same name. Go and check her out. Go and look at her videos, and all the footage is wonderful. So a big thank you, and thank you again for listening and downloading. More great guests as always, and keep it funny peculiar.
You've been listening to Funny Peculiar. Tune in next week. More great guests.